There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors.
You're not coming in. You're not coming in. As simple as that. You're not coming into our sacred spaces. You're not coming in.
This is sacred ground.
You're not coming in. You're not coming in.
Why not? Why can't I come in? Because I said you're not.
This is Larry Krasner's town hall at Mother Bethel Church at Society Hill.
Sacred spaces. You're not coming to our sacred spaces.
Where are you? Where were you yesterday?
It's a public meeting. You're not coming in our sacred space. As simple as that. Because I said you're not coming in. I'm saying you're not coming in.
You have no right to tell me.
You're not coming in.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're not coming in our sacred space.
What you will see what it is.
I don't care. You'll see what it needs to come up in here. You gonna see what it needs.
He said don't threaten people. Don't threaten people, he said. Don't threaten people.
We were trying to come to the event. You know, they denied us entry. They have a human wall.
No, dude.
They have the blue wall.
Hold on. Is it true what I just heard? Wait a minute. MAGA going to black churches tomorrow on Sunday? The boycott? A protest? To a black church? MAGA, you might want to stay home tomorrow. You might want to go take that to a white church. One thing you don't do, MAGA, you don't mess with black churches on Sunday. MAGA, don't do that. Don't do that, MAGA. Don't do it. It ain't gonna work out for you. You go Sunday to a black church? MAGA.
White people, stop playing with black church. Like, y'all, like, seriously, stop playing with black church. Because watching what happened yesterday at Mother Bethel, and shout out to every black body, every white ally that held the line for that little raggedy white boy that was trying to sow seeds of discontent, right? Mother Bethel is the oldest piece of land, not church, the oldest piece of land owned by African Americans in this country when Richard Allen purchased it in 1791. Furthermore, the church was founded out of protest to racism because black worshipers at St. George's Methodist Episcopalian Church were segregated from the rest of the congregation. And when Absalom Jones and Richard Allen staged a protest and were praying in the white section, they were forcibly removed. So they say, y'all can keep this mess. We're making our own safe space. Now, I am always going to have respect for the sanctity of black church, but especially for Mother Bethel, baby, y'all better stop playing with the ancestors like this.
They walked into a black church thinking that they were simply entering another political space. But they may have forgotten one very important thing, that the black church has a deep history. And that history goes all the way back to the days after slavery. So when political confrontation enters a historically black church, you're not just stepping into a building. You are stepping into generations of memory, faith, and even resistance. And that's exactly why this situation deserves a closer look, my people.
God, why? I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. So, like, apparently there's this whole push for MAGA folks. I'm assuming it's, and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming it's just white males of the MAGA movement that have been attempting to go, or are attempting to go into black churches to protest because of the sermons that were preached by certain black ministers about Charlie Kirk that was not to MAGA's liking, right? Like, so you're going to go into these houses of worship to do what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going in there to, you know, interrupt worship of God. You're going in there to cause commotion in the house of the Lord. For y'all to constantly profess that you are, you know, Christian, and listen, we're finding out that some of the MAGA folks aren't Christian, or right wing rather, you know, between, I mean, these labels, so many labels. But anyway, what is the, and then on top of that, what is the point? Like, because folks don't agree with who Charlie Kirk was and how he would say so many vile things about black folks and other marginalized groups. So people are supposed to just deal and take that. Listen, do yourself a favor. Go to your house of worship and pray on it and do what you got to do. But just coming in and being so like ridiculous and trying to bogart your way into a house of worship because you feel like you have to do whatever you feel like you have to do. Because I don't even understand what the hell's happening. Like, what? This is when they keep saying, when I say they, I'm just talking about just this, what we're seeing in terms of the common denominator, in terms of the issues in this country and the violence in this country and the toxicity in this country. I'm just going to say it, guys. It's the MAGA folks. It's these folks that are out here with this racist ideology, and folks that are upholding the white supremacy. You are the common denominator. You are the problem. Beyonce is right. America has a problem, and the problem is this right-wing craziness. Get it together. Like, not everybody has to agree with y'all. If you like Charlie Kirk and you want to like go and celebrate his life and legacy, then do that shit over there. Leave us out of it.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Report, where we get an outsider's view with an insider's clarity. When MAGA white men showed up thinking they could make a scene inside a black church, they met something they did not expect: a congregation that would not be bullied out of its sacred place. What started as a publicity stunt turned into a hard, unmistakable message. This is our house, our history, our sanctuary. Don't come in here with your slogans and your cameras and expect a polite welcome. The people at the door made it clear with no shouting and no confusion. They were not getting in. A human wall stood in place. There was no back and forth, no debate. The line was drawn. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. This happened at Mother Bethel Church during Larry Krasner's town hall. The group tried to push the idea that they were being denied entry unfairly. They complained there was a blue wall and a human wall blocking them. They wanted to make it look like they were the victims, but the people inside knew exactly what was going on. Outsiders came to disrupt, not to participate. Later, what started spreading online that some MAGA groups were making plans to protest inside black churches across different cities. They were upset about some comments some black pastors made about Charlie Kirk. But the response from the black community was quick and serious. The warning was not soft and unclear. It was straight to the point. This is not the place to come and pick fights. One voice said plainly that going into a black church to start drama is not a smart plan. Members will fight the pastor before letting outsiders walk in and disrespect the space. And that's not exaggeration. That's lived reality. Elders in those churches grew up in different times and have handled worse. The community is not weak, not unaware, and not slow to react when threatened. People like to say, we are not our ancestors. In this case, that means nobody is going to sit quietly while being tested inside their own sanctuary. The message also came with humor, but it was real. Someone joked that black folks in churches might actually be waiting for the day someone gives them an excuse to act up for once. If someone is desperate to prove a political point, they better find another way. Walking into a black church uninvited and loudmouths is asking for something they cannot handle. It will not go the way they think. There won't be a viral moment of them taking over a pulpit. There won't be a peaceful argument in the pews. There won't be a chance to stage some planned outrage for social media. The church is not just a building. It is a safe place, a family home, and in many cases, the only space black communities fully control. Nobody is going to let strangers burst in and turn it into a backdrop for some political circus. The protesters wanted to film themselves getting denied so they could claim persecution, but what they found was a community that doesn't care about their narrative. Nobody was shaking. Nobody was scared. The people at the door stood there like they had been preparing for that day all their lives. They didn't need the police to back them up. They were the wall. These MAGA men came expecting to control the situation, but they were not ready for a space where the elders walk with confidence. Some of the younger church members were there too, calm but not soft. They were ready to block, not talk. They were not moved by insults, tricks, or fake outrage. They were not letting anyone walk past them. If more of these groups think they can show up to black churches and force their way in, they better understand the risk. Churches may seem peaceful, but the people inside are not helpless. They are not going to let someone disrespect disrespect their worship and walk away smiling. This is not about fear. Protest somewhere else. March outside if you must. But trying to storm the inside of a black church is not only foolish, it is dangerous for the people who try it. What happened at Mother Bethel Church is a warning, not a one-time event. Communities will stand together. They will protect their elders, their pastors, and their spaces. There is no camera good enough, no live stream strong enough, and no headline big enough to justify stepping into a church to start problems. If someone truly wants to speak against what a pastor said, they can hold their own events, write statements, or protest in public spaces. But walking into a sanctuary to provoke people will not end in conversation. It will end in consequences. The line has been made clear. You are not coming in. Not today, not for clicks, not for politics, and not for anybody.
When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business.
So what do you all think? Should any group be allowed to storm a church just because they disagree with the pastor? And if this happened in a white church, would the reaction be the same? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you, and if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and helps YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, the joy.
There is a person called Pope Nicholas V. Pope Nicholas V, a Roman Catholic Church Pope in the 14th century, is the one who said, I'm talking about a Pope, not an Ashara, a Pope who said, not even a cardinal, but a Pope. You know what he said? He gave permission that black people can be made to be, and the justification he gave was that black people are at the level of they do not have a. So he gave authorization for the enslavement, exploitation of black people. That's when it started by Pope Nicholas V. Where did it come from? It came from a church. The strongest church in the world at that time being the Roman Catholic Church. A white Pope said you are an. It's okay for you to be enslaved. And the Portuguese are the first people that took this. And they went to the coastal areas of Africa. And they took Africans as slaves. They took them to Brazil. They took them to America. They took them to England. And they took them to a lot of European countries. I'm talking about your ancestors. It started in the church. Secondly, what I want to bring to your attention, is that King Leopold II. Now, you can go and Google the letter of King Leopold II. King Leopold II sent missionaries. Missionaries to the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, as it is known today. What were they going to do there? They were going to inflict damage in the minds of people. And what he said was that don't teach these people about God, they already know God. Don't teach these people about right and wrong, they already know that the difference between right and wrong. And just said, Give them the Bible in such a way that they take the Bible so seriously that they forget about themselves. And I'm glad you're going to read that letter. You're going to Google it. Letter by King Leopold II. And he said, make these black people, tell them, hurry, it is difficult for a rich man to go to heaven. It is like a camel going through a needle's eye. And that's what you must indoctrinate them with. Indoctrinate them. Tell them it is okay, or they can struggle and suffer here on earth. Tell them they must not mind to struggle and suffer here on earth, because in heaven they will walk on the street of gold. Tell them that the gold which is here on earth is worthless. Let them look upon the gold they will inherit in heaven. By missionaries. The NG Kerk. The NG Kerk in South Africa was instrumental in coming up with the policies of apartheid. It came from the church. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this to open your mind for the damage that is in the mind of the black person was crafted, it was designed from the church pulpit. And that is why I also use the church pulpit to address and reverse the damage that is in the minds of black people. I am calling upon all pastors who are black pastors to use the pulpit in church to liberate the black mind, because the black mind is damaged. Black people are full of self-hate that was designed from people who are standing on a pulpit like I'm standing right now. Apartheid was partnering with the NG Kerk. And for you to tell me I must not talk about black men related issues from the church pulpit is a sign of the damage and the destruction that has been caused in your mind by the system that I am addressing right now. So I am going to use, I'm calling upon all pastors, 50% we preach the Bible, 50% of the time we preach the Bible, 50% of the time we preach black liberation theology, because it is our people that have been affected by what Pope Nicholas V started.
This is First African Baptist Church, the oldest black church in North America. The building built by slaves. The gentleman that laid the first brick laid the last. The balcony hold pews that actually were built by slaves. They have the oldest information in this building. That information is written in cursive Hebrew writing. Downstairs, the air holes that the people, when they hid beneath the floors, they were able to use are actually African prayer symbols. This building was built during the night hours. It was also not only used as a place of worship, but it was used as a place to help out on the Underground Railroad. One of the greatest missions I believe ever taken out and carried through was handled beneath the floors of First African Baptist Church. There are many items in here that now stands as proof of the Underground Railroad. In the ceiling of the church is a code that this building is used as a safe place, and that code is 9-patch. 9-patch is a quilt symbol that was used during the Underground Railroad to identify safe places. So that 9-patch was placed right in the ceiling of the First African Baptist Church in plain view. If you're interested in getting a tour of this church, you're welcome to come to First African Baptist on Franklin Square, or you can call 233-6597, and you will be welcome to...
The statement I'm about to make, I'm going to be called a racist.
I think I need to take some blood pressure medicine before I watch this video.
But somebody needs to stand up and speak to the black church.
First of all, if anybody's going to speak to the black church, it ain't going to be you. I can see where this is going. Lord, please be with me right now in the name of Jesus.
When the largest African-American Pentecostal denomination, when that leader stands up and said, I endorse that woman.
That woman? Let me stop before I cuss. Sir, and I say this, sir, with all due disrespect, that woman is your vice president of the United States.
And the black church votes predominantly for the party that is anti-God. What's going on here?
What you're witnessing here is white supremacy within the Christian church. Oh, yes, it exists. It is real. It is here. White supremacy exists within the church. Who is this man to stand in a pulpit, proclaim that he's a man of God, and chastise the black church and tell us that we're ungodly? That is true white supremacy right there, that he has such privilege, that he thinks he has such privilege, such power, such authority, that he can point a finger and say that the black church is ungodly.
If 1860 was today, they wouldn't say a word about preachers preaching against slavery.
If 1860 was today, we wouldn't say a word about anything out of fear for our lives. We would be hung, we would be lynched for just speaking out of place. If 1860 was today. Matter of fact, it feels like 1860.
So then why will not the African American church stand up for righteousness?
Now, the next thing I'm about to say, I'm not saying this about all white churches, because there are many white churches that I love and respect, and y'all know I rock with y'all. But for those other white churches that I'm talking to right now, you see, the truth is, the black church has been standing up for righteousness long before the white church. When the pews of the white church was filled with slave masters, the black church was praying for their freedom. When the white church believed that we were just 3/5 of a human being, the black church was telling us to still hold our head up high and keep our dignity. When members of the white church didn't want our children in their schools, the black church was fighting for our schools to be integrated. When the white church had people like Bull Connor in their pews, the black church had people like Martin Luther King and John Lewis who were marching for our freedom and our equality. And even today, while the white church is trying to hold on to their guns and tell us that the immigrants are the problem, the black church is standing with those who have lost loved ones due to police violence. The black church is the ones who are praying for peace in our communities. So for all the Trump supporters out there, you're going to vote for Trump in 2 weeks. You may not agree with this pastor, but he's sure enough on your team. Y'all wear the same uniform. Y'all run the same plays.
After the emancipation in the 1865, formerly enslaved black Americans began building independent institutions of their own. The black church became one of the most important building or institution in the black history, because black people created churches where they could worship fairly, educate their children, organize their communities, and even develop their leadership. These churches became far more than places of Sunday worship. They became centers of black communities' life, because people gathered there to discuss education, employment, family problems, political rights, and even the future of their communities. For people who had just emerged from slavery, having such institution, they controlled themselves was enormously significant. You know, as segregation and racial discrimination continued in the American those days, the black church became one of the few institutions where black Americans could organize with relative independence. Church leaders became the community leaders, pastors became the advocates, congregation became network of support, and decades later, during the civil rights movement, black churches again became important organizing spaces. From churches across the South came marches, meetings, speeches, voter registration efforts, and even call for the justice. Because when you walk into a church today, you may be walking into an institution built by people whose ancestors were denied basic freedom. And that is why the response from the black congregation can carry a completely different meaning. It is not about being against every Republican, and it certainly doesn't mean that every black person opposes the MAGA. Black Americans have different political beliefs, but there's a line between political disagreement and the disrespect. And the black church has spent more than a century teaching communities how to stand together when that line is crossed by them. You know, you can challenge someone's politics, but you don't have to surrender your dignity. Black church has historically been one of the places where black Americans learned that they could maybe organize, they could speak out, they could resist, and even demand some respect from the people who are oppressing them. The message is not that you can't disagree with them. The message is that you can disagree with them, but you will respect them. Because history reminds us that black church has survived slavery, segregation, discrimination, political attack, and even generations of struggle. So if someone walks into that space expecting fear or silence, they may be surprised, because behind that congregation is more than a political opinion. There is history inside there. There is faith. There is a community. And there is a long tradition of standing together. And that is why sometimes the strongest response is not a shout. It is simply standing your ground and saying that if you come into our house, respect the people inside that house.